Welcome to Mechanic. Today we have our 2008 Chevy Silverado with a 5.3 engine in it, and we're going to go over the process to install our radiator. So we removed the radiator to replace it because the old one had a leak in it, and so now going through that process to install the new one. So when you get a new one, you want to make sure and compare it to the old one that everything is in the same location and everything looks the same. So we had to take a few components off of the old radiator, being the little rubber grommets that are down in the bottom there, because they came out with the radiator, and that's where the radiator will slide into those. And then the rubber grommets that hold it up top here, we also needed to remove those and install them onto the new radiator. So now we're ready to install the radiator and start hooking up back all the lines. I'm going to drop it in here at the angle, getting those there's big basic feet on the bottom of the radiator. We're going to line up with those rubber grommets on the bottom, and then being able to press this into it. That everything should line up into place. You may need to move these top rubber grommets a little bit for your 13mm bolts to line up. There's a little bit of adjustment here that can be done. And same thing on this side. You may need to move this a little bit one way or the other, get everything to line up. And then being able to tighten these up to secure everything in place. Okay, so there's good and tight. Now, on this side is where most everything hooks up to. So we'll work from the bottom up. Our first would be our lower radiator hose. Being able to install that, and then tighten that clamp there, and that's an 8mm that goes on that to tighten that clamp. It most likely has a spring clamp, but this one is not there, so somebody has previously put a different clamp on there, and so we will just stick with that and use it. All right, so we get that good and snug. Perfect. So we're good there. And now, like I said, we'll just kind of work our way up. And now we got these trans lines. And you check on these that the spring is in there and the rubber O-ring that will keep these secure. And so we clean off the edge, the tip, and then just being able to press them straight in. And as you press them in, it opens up those little clips and is able to hold them in there. You want to make sure and check that they lock in, and you can pull on them so that they don't come out. So we've got this other one here for the lower side. Same thing. And now we had another hose here. Comes in and attaches here. Might leave this one off for a little bit while we put the fans on, just because this sits in and clamps in with the fan. So we have the main radiator installed. We have the lines installed on this side. So the lower radiator hose, the trans-cooler lines that go into the radiator. And so now we'll go ahead and drop the fan unit in. And that's fairly simple. We just need to slide it in there. There's two little tabs here and here that it sits in, and then a 13mm bolt up here that tightens the fan to it. Make sure we hook up our electrical connections and we'll be good. We'll get the fans. Here's our fan unit. Just get it lined up. So we've got these little tab down there. Just want to make sure it's in that. So that's what secures the bottom of the fan so that it doesn't flop around down there. And we've got that. We've got our 13mm bolts to be able to install and tighten into place. Right, so we have those 13mm tightened up. While we're at it, before we forget, we have our electrical connection for each fan to connect up down here. And then, oops, we have our 10mm that hold these trans lines in place from the vibrations of the vehicle, in which you'll want to install these so that these don't vibrate too much and you get leaks at where they go into the radiator unit themselves. So there's a 10mm there. Okay. Again, we're just tightening up these 10mm for these brackets that hold our transmission fluid cooler lines, because our radiator duals as the trans cooler and the engine radiator. or the engine cooling for your vehicle. Go. So now this is where we have this line that we can hook up, and that's why I kind of left it off so we knew where it would clamp here to keep everything back in the same orientation, and then being able to connect this in there. You need to squeeze that clamp a little bit to be able to get this to slide on. All right, so we've got that clamped on into place, and then we have this one that goes on the top piece here, which the clamp is down there, so I'll get the clamp, but you'll see we put a clamp on here that slides on there. And then the last line is we have our top radiator line that goes here, and then over the other side, and then being able to get this clamp to lock it into place. And that would be the install of your radiator, as well as the fans, if you have the electric fans on your 2008 Chevy Silverado with a 5.3 engine. Of course, when you're done, you also want to make sure you put the air intake system back on if you remove that for ease. Thanks for watching Mechanic, where you can be the mechanic.